strong incentive to move forward in relationships with people that even we overlook some of the minor issues, even though they're strong.
But my thing is this.
No,
but that's not real love, though. That's not real love.
Because my feet are just jacked up. But I get my
but that's not real love. What she's saying, because love can't look over minor issues. Love has to look over major issues.
No, you're right.
Love has to look over major issues. Like,
y'all messing up what I'm saying. Y'all trying to mess up what I'm saying.
No. I'm not messing you up.
I said
Calvin. I'm saying it's easy. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm taking you to the next level.
No,
I'm saying you say don't commit adultery. I'm saying even if you look at a woman that's adult. I'm saying it can't be just the minor. It has to be the major, because if you look at what Jeremiah, like, God was loving them and His mercy was bigger than that, because it was like these were major issues. It was like, this wasn't just like you're doing this on the side. They were like,
Hosea's wife was a prostitute. Major issue. Major issue.
She was fine.
She was fine. She was bad. He picked her prostitute.
No. Listen, guys. What I'm trying to bring it back to, when you're talking to people who don't want a relationship with God because they don't trust people. They don't want a relationship with God because they don't trust this. They don't have faith in this. They don't have faith in that. And I'm saying they have trust issues. You have to bring them. Whenever we have that, we have to bring people back to the love of God. Because you can't start with the whole trust thing. You can't start with trust issues. You have to start. You have to start with love. Because if you teach people how to love, then love overlooks the big and small issues.
Well, what does love mean? What does
I think
love
love is accepting.
What is love? 13. No, we can read through that, but love is impossible, because that's perfection. Love believes all things. Love forgives all things.
But that's the love.
Can I do that?
I've forgiven. I've forgiven everything.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
I've forgiven all things.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
I have.
He just doesn't remember most of the stuff.
No. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is this, right?
I don't hold grudges. I have many other flaws.
Amen.
One of my issues is
you don't hold grudges, but you gotta get struck by lightning.
My mother says this is my weakness. My mother says this is my weakness.
If I drive down
you know what? My husband's the same way.
And people in the street
he did, but it's bad too, because he was trying to hug up on somebody like.
Okay.
That's me. I'm gonna call you after you hurt me.
If I'm driving down the street and these guys throw stones at my car and jam at my car.
It's like that. That was an issue. That was like 3 weeks ago.
Why would I do this?
And doesn't understand.
But I don't know. But I don't
practical application.
But I don't know. But is that?
Thank you.
What were you driving down that street for?
For whatever reason. No, the reason doesn't matter. What you're saying is you hold grudges, right? I'm saying I'm not going to hold grudges.
There are two schools.
But there's a certain point that says I'm not going to be an idiot.
So my thing is this: there are two schools. There are two schools. But there are two schools of thought.
No.
Yes. So my thing is that there's two schools.
You're not laughing when you behave like that.
No. But my thing is this: there are two schools of thought.
Oh, you're not capable.
There's two schools of thought on that. There is what Corinthians says. Right? Love believes all things, loves all that stuff. But then there is a school of thought where when Christ was talking to the disciples and giving them instructions, he was like, if they treat you badly, shake the dust off your feet and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Like, so
that's not interpersonal interaction.
What's that again?
That's not what he was talking about.
No, but I'm saying based upon
the words.
But I'm talking about based upon what Randy's saying.
Time. That's the difference between wasting time.
No.
But it's wasting time.
Wasting time, like wasting time.
Yes.
I can't waste time on someone like God's child.
No.
Wasting time.
That's not. No. Because listen, if you have a job to do and you have 40 hours to do it, and you're on this problem, but the computer has shut down, then you need to move. Then you need to move on to the next one and finish up your work that you're supposed to do within that 40 hours. So that's very different. That's very different.
God didn't do that with Jonah.
That's very different. That's very. But you know what? But did he do it to Sodom and Gomorrah though? So
he kept giving them.
But what I'm saying is, eventually, it was like, this is not working. Let's move on to the next. You know what I mean?
Just as a matter of interest, why was Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed because of homosexuality at all?
Yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah was
sodomy.
No.
No.
Because they were because they would not. They refused, and Isaiah says it. They refused to look after their poor. Ezekiel. They refused to look after their poor. They didn't take care of the poor people. Can we talk about that at some point? Because all these texts this week, man, it talked about like
we're not on that.
The poor people. It was like no, James in the book of James talks about it. Jeremiah talks about it. What did he say?
A song.
Maybe no.
But it says that, like, even in Mark, it says the same thing. Jesus speaks to that in Mark. He speaks to it all over the Bible, and we don't talk to it because rich people pay for our churches. Rich people allow people to have jobs. That's real talk, man. I'm going on rich people. Yes, because Jesus did it every day.
He talked about rich people?
Yes.
God don't take care of it.
Are you serious? Please tell me you're playing devil's
my thing, them dudes have money. Jesus didn't have money, man.
Oh,
they didn't have money. Look at the context of when they were feeding the 5,000. I was reading the other day. When they were feeding the 5,000, look at what was it Peter that asked, and he was like, "Lord, this will cost us
a year's wages."
Them dudes had a year's wages. He said this will cost us, not like abstractly, like, Lord, this is going to be like. This will cost us a year's wages.
We gotta go into our money and get.
We gotta go into our money and go and buy a year's wages.
Why were they so mad at the woman? Okay, let's talk about it. A year's wages.
I'm just saying.
My alabaster box. This was more than a year's wages, and the guy got mad. So maybe they ran out of money after they gave up a year's wages.
No. They were just being hypocritical.
But they didn't spend for the box. She did.
They were just being. They were being hypocritical, though.
My point is, maybe they were still in the red.
No.
Like, dang, man, we could have used
we
this.
Don't have any money.
We could have used this.
They weren't in the red. They paid.
But they had women
taxes.
paying for their bills, huh? They had women minding them. This Bible says.
I'm just saying.
You know
the
what?
Bible
I'm just saying. I'm not saying Jesus wasn't.
That the women were following them around and supporting them out of their way, out of their earnings, out of their means.
I'm gonna have to keep order in our after talk because we are on the 6th conversation.
All right.
And we haven't finished.
Let's bring up Sherika's question.
I can add.
You really did say that she would do that, didn't you?
I got ADD.
You did say she would do that.
That's a rule.
That comes natural.
I think it's the feeding of the. It's either feeding of the. Well, I think it's the feeding of 5,000, or maybe the 4,000.
Was it? Yeah. In Mark.
Yeah, it's in Mark.
In Mark chapter 9.
But my phone keeps acting up. Like, whenever I gotta make a point, my Bible shuts down.
How about you open a Bible then?
No.
You mean with pages?
Are you crazy? Wow, that'll be a novelty.
Yo, I was riding down New Hampshire Avenue. There was a video store. And I was like, why are your doors open?
Why are you still here? Why do you?
It was like 95 cents. It's like y'all are holding on.
Focus, people, focus.
We're gonna pay the rent this month. That's it. Not gonna eat.
What are you talking about?
Can someone give Carrick a Bible?
I'm about to.
Luke 8. No, she's going to Mark 9, but this is just for you because you wanted to know. Luke 8, like 1 to 3.
1, verse 1.
We started.
Yeah, I don't really understand this verse. Maybe
Mark chapter 9.
Yes, verse 1.
Verse 1.
And he said unto them, Truly,
I have an answer for you.
I say to you,
For me?
there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God after it has come with power. What does that mean?
It wasn't Jesus.
Question. Who wrote the book of Revelation? Answer. Done. Question finished.
No.
Huh?
What?
Yes. Who wrote the book of Revelation?
John?
Yes. He was standing there with Jesus at the time. Question. Your question is answered.
Some of them will not
I'm
taste
confused.
death. I'm confused.
Yes, John never saw death. He watched Jesus come. He witnessed the entire thing. He saw time after Jesus came. He saw time in heaven. John witnessed everything that Jesus was talking about.
What do you mean by John didn't die?
He
didn't die eventually.
He didn't die
But
until he saw it. He saw it in
died
vision.
before. After.
Read the verse again.
And he said unto them,
Okay, who was talking?
Jesus is red. Truly.
I'm proving the point.
Yes.
I'm trying to help you.
Y'all are violent.
I love it.
I like how she just.
He Jesus red.
Obviously it was.
I'm trying to have you see
Oh my goodness.
To Shanice, because we're saying you brought up
yes.
who wrote Revelation,
and it's like he's
so
talking
she's like
to Jesus is talking
because her face was like, what this is
like
you
what
know,
is Revelation?
Exactly. So
I'm just
Exactly.
saying she was very angry.
Why are you angry?
Truly, I say to you,
Why are we angry?
there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God after it has come with power.
And I guess my point was, and I was kind of being facetious, John the Revelator wrote the book of Revelation. I had this conversation with the same question with a philosophy teacher when I was in college. He was like, the Bible's full of contradictions. I was like what? He said, like, Jesus said, some people are not going to see death until they see my kingdom. I was like, who wrote Revelation? He was like, oh, I see your point. And the conversation was over because John saw what happened after the second coming of Christ.
Exactly.
John saw it and wrote it down.
Jesus
and John was standing right there when Jesus, or maybe he was sitting in another room, but either way, he was in the vicinity.
So this isn't a literal thing.
This is literal.
No, it can't be. John saw it in a vision.
No,
he saw it.
But he saw it. He said he will see this come. This what does Jesus say? What's the verb he uses? To see.
No.
To witness.
There's one thing for me to have a vision, which is not me necessarily being awake in my constant state of now, versus you see that and me see that and that happened now. This is this a foretelling, or you will. I, John, saw the city. Brethren, you didn't see the city in your state of now.
Are you sure?
You had a vision. There's a difference
what
between now and vision.
What I'm saying is how can we define what the vision is that John had? How do we know what that was?
So hold on.
But John was actually
do we believe that God is within time?
And if you look at what John was saying, he was there.
In
the body, like he was literally there, present.
He was there. John was literally there. And the thing about it is this, right? My concept of, I had a pastor explain some things to me. He was a very, very deep guy. He started talking about quantum physics and stuff like this, string theory and all this stuff, and planar physics, and the fact that God may exist on a plane, which means he's outside of time because time is linear. It's not planar. So if God exists outside of time,
I'm gone.
I got you.
If God exists out of time, at any point he can pluck anyone out of time and put him in his plane, and they see exactly what he wants them to see within that time because everything's happening at the same moment. So
how do we know
present for
John
God
was
is
here?
the same as past.
How do we know John was here?
Because
then we could choose not to believe Revelation.
All right, so going back to what I said about Jesus having money.
John the Revelator was the same guy who was who was the youngest of the disciples.
James and John.
Yes, he was James's younger brother. Yes. John the Beloved.
And he said, calling the call to him with his disciples, well, should include the 12. So it would have to make sense.
Yeah, so I mean, John was there. Like, people have said this to me over time, and I'm like, nah, you don't get it. But again, like when John with the visions in the Bible, even Daniel, Daniel said, I saw.
Ezekiel was there.
They were there. So I don't know what
Ellen G. White had that too.
Yeah, what do we think visions are? And like, I think
to me, a vision is a dream.
But the Bible says dreams and visions. It defines them too. In Malachi,
like Nebuchadnezzar had a dream.
Right.
Sleeping.
But no.
So a vision to me is I'm awake.
No, but these people are actually taken up physically in their bodies.
Right. In Acts, Peter quotes Joel. He says, "Your sons and daughters, your sons will have visions. Your young men will have visions. Your old men will dream dreams." Mm-hmm. There's a different distinction. There's a definite line of distinction between a vision and a dream in the Bible. But though both of those things can foretell the future, but a vision is where someone is physically in presence of something, and they're like, "I was there. I was walking through the city. I talked to this guy."
So my thing is this, but I don't understand the word taste death.
Then come back down.
Like the term taste death
that's
means
a real specific term. That's interesting.
Means experience. Like I take it as experience it firsthand.
You need to talk to him.
And so I always had a question. So I mean I understand like the dream and all that kind of stuff, but the fact that no one, there's people here that won't taste death.
Yeah, like, but until they see it. So he tasted death.
But he said there are some, not one. So who else is there that they're talking about?
The word "some." Now we can get into the semantics of it. But the word some can mean from
Anybody.
one to
Or if you said if I want some, you be like that could be I want one of those.
No, it ain't. I'm expecting more than one. I'm so serious. If I tell you
when I say some, I could get one.
It's like when I say I want a couple, I want two. If I want a few, I want 3 or more. Some I want. You give me one.
Exactly.
Suppose
it could be one.
No, if you give me one, I want some. My hand doesn't move.
Yes, I understand that, but the meaning
no. Suppose Jesus told his disciples.
I'm looking up some.
Suppose Jesus told his disciples, one of y'all is gonna see me come in the clouds. They're like, which one? How come one of us is gonna get it?
Why does he specify one of you will betray me?
Because nobody wanted to be that one.
What do you mean? He specified it though.
It's very different.
He specified it and called it out. He called it
only
shot.
one.
He called base shot.
He was like, look,
because it was only one.
It was like, yo, the dude that puts his hand in the thing with me.
But it was only one though.
Right. This is a positive thing. No, this is a positive. This is not bad. This is a positive thing.
But I'm asking you, some mean John and who?
I'm with her.
I'm
not with her on the sum. I'm not with her on the sum. I'm with her on the fact that I haven't heard an answer that's sufficient regarding tasting.
That's a sum. 144.
I think sometimes.
Don't do some.
Oh, you sometimes.
I'm watching my words very carefully.
Well, sometimes. There you go.
One time.
That's all.
A few times. A couple times.
We can see evidence of John writing something, right? But just because we don't see the evidence of others doesn't mean they didn't exist.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Remember, when you wrote a book, do you know how many people scribed and had to copy and had to do this and had to do that? And how many people had to be there and say, you know what? You know, you're drinking because this is not right. Maybe other people didn't need to write the same thing, but they saw what he said. He saw and was like, man, really? And that just didn't make it in the book that we're reading right now.
Then, you know what? Here's the problem I have with that. Then.
And so, just like there was a man, was Enoch, who is not until after he had children that he walked with God, and he understood God. And there's certain things that we didn't know about the whole story with Enoch and what they talked about and so forth. But because it wasn't all written out, do we say it never existed?
No, but you can't. We can't.
But we know that Enoch went to heaven.
We can't. You know why we can't know that?
But he could have been burned up on a mountain.
We don't know that Enoch.
The Bible says it. He could have been burned. He could have been burned up.
What does the Bible say about Enoch?
And we said, oh yeah, we can't find him, so he must have been transfigured.
Let's finish this up.
Before we reach Enoch, for us to say some people wrote it, some people didn't. It didn't make it into the Bible.
I can't go with that.
I can't go with that.
No,
I'm just saying I can't have it.
No, that's not what you're saying.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just because I didn't write it down doesn't mean that I didn't see it.
I didn't experience it.
I saw and I experienced it, but you're the one who wrote it down.
Maybe it was John and his brother, and maybe.
But he's the one who wrote it down.
Simon the Zealot. They were like, "Hey, in a room."
And we're so used to things being proven over and over and over. Matthew wrote the book. Luke wrote the book.
And
Mark wrote the book.
And
so we're so used to that.
There's some theological questions about who wrote the books of the Bible too.
We can't have that conversation.
I'm saying if it's in the red,
and so we need for the Lord to say, okay. Some people won't taste that, so that's going to be John, and it's going to be you, and it's going to be. We want for God to prove Himself and say, okay, it was this person, and it was this person, and this person, and this person.
Obviously, it doesn't.
You know,
exactly.
But at the same time, there's gonna be people. How many people are gonna be like, okay, 144,000. Let me count. It's not gonna be that deep. Once you get there, it's gonna be like, you know what?
I'm not saying it's that. I'm not saying it's that deep. But when you make it, but you make it,
but you die.
No. But if you make it. But you make it if you.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You live. Yeah. We're still in the same place. You live to see it. I die, but we're still in heaven.
But my thing is this. Yeah. And conceptually, that makes sense.
Right.
What I'm saying is, but you made a statement. You made a statement saying that, and it was like, it was a very strong statement. There's a portion of me that's like,
what's up with that?
Which statement are you talking about?
Being at least one.
Mercy, Jesus.
What's that again?
Some.
Being at least
Whoa, what happened?
That's the definition
of some is at least
being
one.
At least
one.
One.
I agree.
Being one. Definition number 2: being one, a part or an unspecified number.
Right. So some,
which I think actually the end of it makes sense. It's like an unspecified number.
It has to be an unspecified number. You can't just
say
one.
But one is part of it. One's a number.
But some
unspecified is not one. I am an engineer here, guys. Unspecified is not one.
This is the definition.
I have here being an undetermined or unspecified.
Yes.
Undetermined.
Yes, but it could. But if it's undetermined, there's a possibility that it could be one.
I am the undetermined.
If it's undetermined, it could be zero, though.
I am the undetermined.
You have to say some.
No, because some means that it exists.
Because undetermined could be zero.
So Jesus can say
some means undetermined can't be zero.
It has to be at least one.
No, undetermined could be zero.
No, it cannot.
Some has to be at least one.
Undetermined cannot be zero.
Yeah.
Undefined can be zero. Undetermined cannot be zero.
Undetermined
cannot be zero. Undefined can be zero.
How many of you can eat fire? That is undetermined. None of us are going to try.
No. What you say? If I'm going to give you an undetermined amount, that means it cannot be zero.
Undefined.
No, you use that in a sentence.
I didn't give it. No,
I'm going to give you an undetermined.
That's what she was saying
by itself.
That's what she was saying.
By itself.
I didn't put it in context.
Undetermined by itself. You put it in a sentence that meant that you have to give something.
She said in a sentence. What her context was in a sentence of I'm going to give you some undetermined amount.
Yes, but that's a sentence. What I'm saying, the word undetermined means we do not know.
I went to school.
Yes, we do not know what the number. Like everybody's gonna start putting out the polls.
So we do not know.
Undetermined.
Yes, it's undetermined. But it's a number. More than zero.
That's not true.
They both know. Let's get technical with it. Undetermined means there is no
determination.
That's what I'm saying.
Which means it could be none.
No. Not if you're going to give someone an undetermined amount.
I'm giving you something.
If you say you're going to give someone an undetermined amount, you're giving them an amount.
No, my context. My context is. Guys, you always say let's read the whole verse here.
It's the verse.
I'm at verse 3.
Here.
Let's start at 1 or 2.
Some here. Some here.
That's an amount.
That does not mean zero.
Right.
Some here.
I agree.
That does not mean zero.
I agree.
That's it.
I agree that some means
some
at least
is one or
more.
Or three or four, two, whatever.
That was my point from the beginning.
That's what it's saying.
Oh my God.
She doesn't agree that it's one.
How can it not be one?
It can't be
because
one.
It has to
God
be one.
can say, I am some.
First of all, you need to lower your expectations. They're way up here. You're not going to get more than one all the time.
I am the sum. I am the sum, guys.
If someone comes out here like, there is someone out here for me.
Someone.
They're not trying to menage. There is one person. There is one person that they want.
Listen.
That's it.
I'm saying if we're going to say some can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's what the dictionary definition says.
So Jesus can say, I am some.
No.
I am the some. I am the what?
Based on the definition.
By definition, you can't because they all agree.
Wait, because he's Christ? Because he's Christ? All of a sudden he says, I am some. It can be anything he wants it to mean. We can't define that for him. Now we're starting to define.
What I'm saying, when you're reading the Bible, and we're going to interchange and say some,
may taste that.
It has to
apply.
It has to apply across the board.
You can't take some. We use one, and then sometimes we use some, and that some can't equal one. Sometimes that's not the way the Bible is.
Let's look at the context.
I'm agreeing with you.
Let's look at the context.
She's agreeing with you and adding one.
No, no. What I'm saying is, I'm agreeing with you that some could be. It could be 28. It can be 28. What I'm saying is that there might not be. There doesn't have to be 28 books of the Bible to prove to us that there were 28 more people. That there are times when if God said this and He gave us one person and it proved that one person is it, that for us to need the other 26 because He said some, that's us being nitpicky. And it's okay for God not to give us all 26. I don't need all 26. I saw it.
Hold on. Here's this
I didn't take that until afterward.
Interesting fact.
From who?
The Greek word that is used there for some is tis. Its definition is a certain one.
One. It means one.
Oh, yeah. Which is fine.
Which would mean that translation of some and your understanding of it is a poor translation.
Go to trust.
This is a bad translation of the word some. You can't trust it.
It's a bad translation
because
of that word.
Because
yes.
they're 400.
But that's the thing. English is bad.
There 448.
Hold on.
There 448 uses of the word, and it always involves a certain, any man, anyone, man, and
someone.
And I'm okay.
So it's someone and not some.
Makes more sense to me. But we can't what I'm saying, you can't interchange some. You can't.
No, but I think what I was basing it on was the idea of, if I'm going to talk, like for example, I have students, right? I know one of my students is going to be the one to get an A on the test. I'm not going to tell my students, one of you is going to get an A on the test, and everybody else is like, I may as well not study. I'm going to say, somebody in the room, some of you, amongst you, there are those who might, and I'm going to say that to try to get everybody hyped to try to take it, because I know that these jokers are going to be like, if it's not me, forget it. Like, I know that. I have kids, I'm thinking of kids right now who I know if I said one person in this class is going to fail, they're like, it's me, I know I'm going to fail. Somebody in the room may fail. They're like, well, maybe it's not me. So they're going to all try. There's a different, the context that he's using it, I think, is that way.
Okay. Can
I
bring a different
spin
on this?
Can we
You know that movie? You know that movie?
But this is one more question.
Still your topic. This is still your topic about one that takes it. I just didn't want this to be one of those like you. Okay, maybe we shouldn't. Okay,
go ahead.
You shouldn't have seen the movie, but there's a movie. Okay. That
Color Purple?
No. There's a movie where this woman is, the guy asked her, "Are you immortal?" And she's just like, "There are some of us who, we're not God." No, he said, "Are you a God?" And she's like, "There's some of us who do not see death. We haven't seen death." And so she more or less
sounds like Wolverine.
No, it's not. It's not. And
what
so
movie
anyway,
is it?
Anyway.
So
she lived. She lived this very, very long life. She was an adult when he was a baby, and then he grew up. Can you listen to what I'm saying? That's what I tell you the movie. Because I don't want you to talk about the movie. I want you to listen to the concept. Okay. So the concept is she's an adult and she sees this baby in the coffin with his mom, and he lives. Right. So he lives. She's an adult. She looks the same. As he grows, she's watching over him. He looks the same. He becomes an adult. He falls in love with her. She's the same. And she teaches him how to fight. She teaches him how to...
Some vampire movie.
No. And so... It's Greek mythology, right? And so there are people... And there's some people who believe... There's some people who will believe by this that... Oh, wow, yeah, there's some who are living amongst us who never taste death. That means there are mortals walking amongst us and so on and so forth. We have people who really believe that. They'll look in the Bible and they'll say, that's what this means. And so I was hoping, and I'm grateful that that's not what you meant by it. But there's some people who interpret the Bible as, wow, yeah, some will not taste death until Christ comes. So we have to be careful because there are mortals amongst us who are not God, but they're immortals. And then they strive for that type of status or something like that. So I just wanted to clarify that. Remember, we live in an age where people become obsessed with some crazy things, and they'll pick up the Bible.
And I'm not saying
they'll say that the Bible...
I'm not saying that exists, but I'm still very confused about the verse.
They'll say that this verse speaks to that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I think, but when we're looking within the context, and thank you for going to the Greek. When we look at the context of the Greek, it says, it's talking about one person.
But John, the taste death is what...
Taste death, the thing about tasting death, I think, is experiencing... Yeah, we can go back to it. I think it's experiencing the absence of life. I think it's that. And I honestly...
See how you said that?
Huh?
Experiencing the absence of life. That's tasting death.
Yeah.
He died. That's the same as saying you died.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
No. You can't experience that. The dead know nothing.
Wow.
You can't experience
but
non-life.
I'm just trying to make sure that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to make sure that we're not saying, oh, the guy who God's talking about is still immortal. He's still walking amongst us.
Means to taste, to try the flavor of, to perceive the flavor
to
of,
experience.
partake. So
to perceive.
To experience. To make trial of, to experience.
So to perceive the flavor is very different.
Perceive is different than experience.
Because you can smell something.
So what are we learning today?
Perceive.
The Greek.
We need a new language.
But yeah, we need another language.
No,
we need to look at the Bible differently.
No, it's not that.
It is,
we
though.
can't trust.
It's not that deep.
It is, though.
We can't trust.
I'm just trying
Which
to...
goes back to the post that we were going back and forth on in the thing.
For example, one place it is used again is 1 Peter 2:3, where it says, or you can look up 1 Peter 2:3. So if so be that ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious. You can't literally taste that the Lord is gracious.
Perceive it.
Like, you do.
So, I mean, this is the same word.
I don't know if that's a strong enough analogy.
It's experience.
We have another one. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Can we look at that and see if that's the same?
Experience.
That's a different language. That's a different language.
It's talk about relationship.
Because that would be the Aramaic, or the Hebrew.
Then we might not even be John if that's okay.
Okay, but I just want to clarify. Do you believe that someone is still from Bible times when Jesus is there?
No, I don't believe that. But the only other thing I have to believe is that they're in heaven.
Or the opposite is
they never died. They were translated.
They left with Jesus, and that was that.
Because if you don't believe that, and you don't believe that John was a person, then the only other thing to believe is that there's a lie.
No. If Jesus,
I'm saying the only thing left is that they're in heaven.
Yeah, they left with Jesus. That's the only thing that left.
No. Notice what it says. It's not that they won't taste death ever. It's that they won't taste death until they see this.
Until they see what?
Until they see the kingdom come in power.
And that's what I'm saying. You don't have the option of going to heaven because you don't go to heaven to die.
John saw the kingdom of God come. He saw the whole. He describes everything.
So Jared's saying it's okay. I say it and it's not. It doesn't mean merit.
That makes sense.
There's nothing that he didn't make either, right? So
it's not that he won't taste that period.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Let's get a question.
Because
even she has questions.
Jared,
oh yeah, you have another question.
I said it, and they were like, no. Jared said the same thing. They're like, I get it.
What's your next question? To share the movie showing.
Hopefully, it's the same question that I have.
It didn't say what the movie was.
In Mark chapter 10.
What is it?
Mark chapter 10.
I watched the movie.
Why don't you ask these questions when everybody's on TV?
We on TV right now. Y'all was arguing over something else, and I just
all these guys having this beef over live production.
Yeah.
Y'all fighting.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with verse 5. I'm gonna start 5.
Mark chapter 10, verse 5.
And Jesus said to them, "Because of your hardness of heart, wrote this commandment. But in the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate."
Until the United States comes along.
In our church, we're general. We justify certain
it's Corban.
divorces.
It's Corban.
Right? How and some of them we say are okay, and some pastors are allowed to remarry, and some we say aren't okay, and you're not allowed to remarry. My problem is here: what God has joined together. How we know which ones God's joined together? The ones that should get separated.
Well, you know what? Okay, so then what we have to think about.
Really good.
What we have to think about is this. With
that
question, what are the other things that because when we have a text like this one, where that it's hard to understand, we look to other texts that are similar or dealing with the same issue. And Jesus said it previously in Matthew. He said, "You can only divorce." He said, people said you can divorce just by signing a contract. He said, no. The only time you should divorce is when someone has committed adultery. Otherwise, you are committing adultery by divorcing. And he says it again here. I think that what he's saying is, when God puts something together, you can't take it apart. Now, I think what happens is people can choose to leave it.
But that goes.
Not that you can't, but you shouldn't.
People can choose to leave it, and by their actions, they do. If I commit adultery, then my wife has every right, according to the Bible, to divorce, to marry someone else.
How do we know what God put together?
And how do you know that? How do you know that He joined those two people?
Well, here's the thing: that marriage as we understand it, is very different from marriage back then. And the joining together
was a sexual union.
Your sexual union was marriage.
Yeah,
so
but you can have several.
And my daddy chose it.
Which means you would have been joined to several.
Yeah, I mean, look.
So you weren't one, you were like a fifth.
Isaac went
and I had no choice in the joining.
Isaac went into the tent. They were like, Isaac saw his wife, he went into the tent. They went to the tent and got married. They came out, they were married. That was very simple.
I went to a wedding like that.
Wow.
They consummated in the, wow.
They
got married and then they consummated and then they came back for the reception.
They came back, son?
It was in the program.
I don't know how I feel about them coming back.
Really cool.
I don't think they enjoyed
that was really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah, they did. Because culturally, everyone knows.
Where
I have
was
friends who their weddings last a long time, too.
No, I'm saying, how long was this break?
I had no idea what it was.
It didn't matter. You're eating. If you're eating, you don't care.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
but that's what,
I
mean, that was the...
That was what marriage was then.
But that still doesn't answer the God joining it. God had no say.
You don't know. You don't know who got joined.
The thing about it is, but again, we're talking...
Well, look at who he's talking to. He's talking to.
Why are we always looking at who he's talking to? Like he's talking like the Bible is written for us.
No, because sometimes we take things personal. But if he's talking to, it says, it is because your hearts were hard that Moses wrote this law at the beginning of creation, and he gave you history.
Your hearts is Israel.
And then he says,
that's everybody.
He says, so they are no longer two, but one. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another. So he's like, he's speaking in general, but he's saying, if you are married, he's not talking to all the single people. He's saying, if you are married and you know.
Wow, that's deep.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he's saying, anyone who divorces his wife and marries another woman commits adultery against her. He's not talking to all single people. He's not talking to the kids.
He's not even
talking to them.
He says, making the assumption.
and if she divorces her husband and marries another man, she commits adultery. So the truth is, sometimes it's the whole city, state, whatever is supposed to be helping decision. But this is one of those things where you know for sure. You're the one who's married. You know for sure whether or not you are supposed to be divorced or not, and you know with your relationship with God whether or not you're supposed to be
married as a
leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
It was in red.
It was in red. And not only that.
But it goes back to
we separate. We're separating people after Adam and Eve. Remember, God's intention, and this is something we have to remember too when we're talking to people who are non-believers, people who are from different religions, people who we know they have no interest in Christ whatsoever, or an open to it, but they are of another religion. We have to remember God created Adam and Eve in his image, and his first and utmost intention was for the entire human race to be his children and for us to always be bonded to him. It is through our own sin that separation came. And that's why we have all this separation. And we try to keep the separation sometimes because of sin. But that was not his original plan for us.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the thing with marriage...
But he also joined them.
He did. Adam and Eve were joined.
So the separation, so going back to what she said, like, so he joined them. So if you weren't ordained to be with this person,
then if I leave,
then it's not necessarily joined by God.
That's not the point. That's not the point, because I think what the point is this. The point is this, right? Did God tell Jacob divorce Leah and marry Rebecca, who was the one you've been working for 7 years?
He didn't divorce her.
He take them both.
He didn't divorce her.
Take them both.
He didn't divorce her.
He didn't divorce her.
I keep telling it to Jewel.
Crazy.
That's not funny.
My point is that I think that God honors it. I think that God honors our sacrifice. We make a big public statement. We're going to get married. All the friends, family are there. That's a big deal. We're doing that for a reason. It's not just to sign a paper. If that was the point, we could go to the courthouse and sign the paper. We do the marriage thing as Christians in front of people with a minister blessing it and God blessing it, praying it with a little candle.
I never thought about that.
It's serious.
When I got married.
What were you thinking about?
Sex.
That's what. No. I mean. It's just what you do.
See that's
right.
It's what you do.
No. This is the same guy. This is the same guy who says, "I'm not gonna dress the way you tell me to dress because that's the way you do it."
No, I'm just saying. It was no. The reason why, honestly, the reason why we did a wedding was so that all of our family could come and hang out. That was the only reason. We could have gone to the Justice of the Peace.
$55.
The only reason that we did the wedding.
Why did she know how much it
was? The only reason we did it was for everyone else. I didn't do it.
That was the point.
I didn't do it for God. So like what you're saying, like I didn't pour a passion to bless it and do all that. Like I didn't do it for that.
I'm not saying people do that for that. I'm not saying.
You did?
I did.
Really? You thought about it?
Yes,
That's amazing to me.
For God to bless it, to bless the union. Because the truth is, my list went from here to here, and then when I looked at the money again, it went from there to there. So it wasn't about the people.
Mine was about the people.
It wasn't about the people. The people were.
I didn't get married for the people. I did the ceremony.
It was an enhancement for the people to share it with us. You understand?
So then my question to you then would be this: why are you married?
Oh, I love my wife.
That's not my point. Why are you married?
You could be together and not be married.
You could love her.
Rephrase the question.
You could love her.
Two income.
What makes you married?
2 income.
That's what you're asking.
What I'm saying is you can do all that. You could do all that without if you leave, you're going to commit adultery. You could just be like, well, why don't we just kind of hang out for the whole time? And we can have kids and everything and not even be married. Let's just do that. I mean, my question is, what makes you married, or why did you do that as an action, and then say, this is my wife and this is my husband? What was that about? I'm just curious.
No, the reason, because it's the way you should do it. It's the way you should do it.
And I think
important. And I could be a sheep in that. But it's just the way you should do it. Like
it's the way
you get married, you find a woman you love, you get married, or find a man you love, you get married.
But what does getting married? I guess what he's asking is, what does getting married mean?
Does
it mean I'm having a commitment? I'm just
what does
making
it
a
have to do
commitment
with
to you?
my life? Like, why would I do this action?
I didn't think about it.
If I can simply love if I can simply love somebody,
because similar to what churches do, like it creates a parameter. A defined parameter.
Right.
So because it's safer that way.
He just said
because the sexual union used to be the parameter.
That was the parameter. That's because the parameter was like.
But the sexual union doesn't matter anymore.
But that doesn't mean it's the right way.
I'm not saying from a biblical. I'm saying just in general. Like sexual union doesn't matter. That means I'm married. I didn't. I married you the day of our wedding. But what I'm saying is that means that people married other people many times at 14, 15. Like we've changed. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if that's the reason. Then if that's what it is, then
so I guess what
so
I'm
it changes everything. So
I guess
now,
what I'm saying, because people, the reason I'm asking these questions is because people talk about the sanctity of marriage.
Marriage
it's a sacred thing. It's all this other stuff. And wait. And then people start getting upset at the gay people, like, I want to be married. I'm like, really? Why? Like, why are you mad? That's my thing. Like, what are people upset about? Because if it's about two people making a commitment to God, at some point, anyone can do that.
Because in America, it's not. In America, it is a government and state-run ceremony. To the point where, like, I was talking, like, giving, like, churches and pastors and all these people that get upset with gay marriage and all that kind of stuff make no sense to me. Because at the end of the day, like, you've gotten, like, you can't even marry this person unless you go to the state to get permission to marry them. So, like, you can't talk to me about this God marriage and all this kind of stuff. You're going to Caesar to get permission to marry these people for God.
Actually, I'm going to Caesar to have my marriage recognized within the context of the environment I live in.
Yes, but that's the reason why we do it.
But still,
Caesar's not asking.
That's the reason why we do it.
But
to get recognition and privilege.
Caesar never said. You guys, no. In order for us, this is where it begins to become really hypocritical for me, because it ends up being an economic thing. It ends up being an economic thing. Tax breaks. You get to be able to have some money when the person dies. You have access to all that stuff.
You get two incomes,
all this other stuff
and
that just shows up. What are people mad? And again, I'm playing devil's advocate to a degree, but I'm still trying to understand why Christians are so much in other people's lives that they're saying they can't decide to legally put their lives together
because
and be
Christians.
That's crazy.
Because
why would you hate on somebody?
Because they're hypocrites.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you why.
They're hypocrites.
I call them supermarket Christians. Supermarket. I mean, we take what we want. I mean, in life, not just Christians, anybody. We take what we want and we put it in our cart and we walk out happy. And look in your cart and be like, your cart, I bought the generic, and you bought the name brand. You think you better than me, blah 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 blah.
Compare carts.
And we compare the carts. So unfortunately, we want to separate church and state. We want to say state, stay out of church business.
Can't do it.
But when the money comes, I want some state money, or I want this, or I want the state to come save me.
Well, I don't want to have to pay taxes.
I want the state to come save me. And sadly, we want to mix the affairs. And you're right. If the state decides that, all right, 2 men, 2 women, 2 dogs, I don't really care at this point, decide that they want to be together to take on state-approved breaks and privileges. That's their business. The state cannot force those 2 people to come into your church or force you to do anything.
But my thing, like what you're asking, what you're asking is kind of like you're asking irrational people to be rational.
That's right.
Like you can't do it. So at the end of the day, like you're asking a question where why do we do this as a secular society? Like secular societies don't adhere to Christian principles.
No. What I'm saying is,
the secular people aren't necessarily having a problem with us.
No, they're not. They're not
having a problem.
Because the secular people have never said you can't get married in a courthouse.
No,
you got to get outside the courthouse and get. They never said that.
It's a one-way street.
No, it is. I agree.
Right. So my issue is like, why are we as Christians so obsessed with people who have no effect on our lives? Because my kid may meet a kid in school who's got 2 dads, and now I have to have a hard conversation. I better be having that conversation with my kid before they show up.
The same reason why we mandate you shouldn't wear this and you shouldn't do this, and we make it principles and things in church.
Right. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's fences.
It's ridiculous.
It's easier to keep people in fences.
And it's easier to, you know what? It's easy. It's more comfortable for a young calf to be in a small enclosure than to be in a big field. In a big field, they don't even play. They just sit there quietly because they're freaked out. They're like, there's a lot of space. Put them in a little thing, they're jumping around, being a little calf. They're comfortable. What does the Bible speak about the church of Laodicea? What's their biggest sin? They were too comfortable. They were right after that. It says, you're lukewarm, so I'll spit you out of your mouth because you are too comfortable. We're sitting around condemning people because it makes us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's completely the opposite of what God says. God never tells us that. He doesn't tell us get in somebody else's life. He says live your life so that people can see my power through your life.
And I'm going to judge each one of y'all individually.
Evidently.
And according to your works and your life.
Yes.
Nothing to do with
And what are the works that we're supposed to do? What are the works? It's what we do for other people, not for what we do for ourselves. So even when we think about suffering, like we were talking about earlier this week, and I think we're having the same kind of conversation. Suffering. People are like, oh, God's teaching people a lesson. Oh, he's punishing people. No, he's not. He's using you as an example. He's just showing you he's showing people how to deal with life through you. That's what it is. When you get smitten down with something, it's not because God's mad at you. He's like, this person was my example. That's why you breathe.
There are instances where people have been smitten because he was mad at them. I'm not saying that is always the case, but I'm saying there are instances.
But it's still an example.
Wow, that's true too. Think about this. If I give my life completely to someone, right? If I say to someone, if I'm a slave, like Paul calls me, if I'm a slave, especially if I was a slave in the United States, there's nothing the master cannot do to me.
Correct.
And I will deal with that because I'm a slave. Correct. Whatever he says, go stand in a pit of burning tar for 3 hours. I better start walking.
Did you give your life to the master though?
To Jesus, yeah.
No, not.
In the analogy.
No, but in the analogy, my life was never my own because they took it from me. So at a certain point, whether or not I want to fight back, they're going to cut my foot off like a man, or or they'll whip me, or they'll put me in a collar, or whatever. They have control over me. This is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Like the idea of Paul's analogy.
I don't really have a will.
Right. The idea of Paul's analogy, I think, was saying you're going to be a slave to something. You're going to be a slave to your own passions. You're going to be a slave to your own. You're going to kill yourself at 35 because you had a stroke from overeating because you were 500 pounds overweight. That's as being a slave, man. You can't even move in your own body. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be a slave to something. And I think that the whole idea of being a Christian is like, if I'm a slave to Christ, I've got to let go of everything. And which is the part where I was talking about the riches. I got to let go of everything. Sure. If that means that I never have money to pay my rent ever, that means I never have money to pay my rent.
Yeah.
But what do I do with that now? How do I live my life with that now? How do I deal with my life as I suffer? Do I suffer and I'm always walking around mad? Oh, I'm mad, beating my kids and stuff? Well, what kind of an example am I giving now? That's not the point. The point must be that my life is a complete sacrifice to God. So no matter what he brings to me, like with Job, if he brings me pain and suffering, then I say thank you for the pain and suffering because you're showing someone, maybe it's not even me, but someone's getting it.
Job complained though.
Job was suicidal.
Job was suicidal, but at the end of the day, Job said, though you slay me, yet will I trust you.
But when
even before that,
that's what he basically said. God.
Job said,
of course he
God
did.
said those positive things in one chapter, and then for the next 40,
he
was suicidal.
Think about what God said at the very end of the chapter. God said,
before that, he called him perfect.
Was that
even before that?
But God said before. God said at the end of
even before that, God called him perfect.
At the end of all that, God said to Job, you don't know why I'm doing this. Just let me be God, Slim. It's the same concept. It's like, you can get upset, you can flail and stuff, but are you going to change anything? Nope. Were you there when I started the world? Nope. Do you know why I'm doing this? Nope.
Well, it's not about you.
It was not about you. It's not about you.
I'm agreeing with you.
And so it's hard. That's a hard philosophy. That's a hard reality.
It's almost impossible.
It's crazy to grasp.
Hosea is the only one who has not complained.
Contextualize the stripes.
Yeah. In his pain, he knows. Just like going back to the whole adultery thing and divorce thing. It says, she was asking, how do you know if God put you together? Job knew. Job knew that he didn't do anything wrong. And so when he was hurting, he knew he was in pain. He knew things were falling apart. And he knew that people were blaming him for it too. So not only was he going through pain and agony, but he was embarrassed.
It's not even my fault, man.
Because he was embarrassed. His friends are like, "What you do, man? What you do? God is not like that.
God is getting you, man.
God is getting you for what you tell us what you did, because it had to be something bad. It had to be something deep." And so in his pain, his agony, this is the way he cried. We cried tears, and people can't hear what we say because it would really be messed up. We heard what his tears said. His tears wished that he wasn't born. His tears wished all these things.
Yes, he was.
And so when we look at it, we're like, yeah, Job complained he wasn't, he fell apart and so forth. Under the circumstances, we need to be compassionate about it.
Do we think Jesus was weak?
No.
Because Jesus kind of fell apart right before he died. He had that
as
moment
he
in the
was
garden.
dying.
In the garden.
As he was,
he when your body starts, when you start sweating blood,
but I don't know if that was. But I don't know if it was necessarily him falling apart. I think it was.
He said, "If you can take this cup from me,
yes,
please do it."
But I don't know if that's him falling apart. I think that's just the intensity of the moment. Yeah, he understands. Falling apart to me is like, oh, woe is me.
Think about
I think it's a stress. I think it was a stress level that he was under.
Think about God saying to God, "Look, if there's another way, let's figure it out."
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
that's not falling apart.
Wait a minute. This is God who knows the end from the beginning. Yeah, who knows the whole thing. If there's another way.
I think it was more rhetorical.
No, how's that rhetorical? He's sweating blood, man.
Listen, so
I just want to make sure
he's sweating blood.
I think he
sweating
knows.
blood is a
flag on the play. Just putting that out there.
I think he knows
everything that we said last week about what it means to be.
You said the play?
Flag on the play. Right there. There goes the flag. There goes the
Dude,
flag.
don't flags. No. No.
Before we continue or move on, did we answer your question?
No. We went left field this entire conversation.
No, I thought we answered her question.
Went so far left field.
He said left field.
I was like,
no, the question. I thought the answer.
Should be like,
I answered her question, right?
I thought the answer was.
You can't you don't know. Like that's. I think Shanice mentioned that
if we don't answer your question like right now, we're not gonna be able to.
I think so. I think,
I'm good.
But I think Shanice answered the question. Like you don't like it's between you
twice.
and like you know if you've been joined together.
Wow,
it's not about anybody else.
You don't even consider you're joining together, so you don't know if you're joining together.
No, I know. No, I'm saying I like.
I doesn't matter to him.
No. I say I believe. No. I said. I said it didn't matter. So what I'm saying is, I believe that God put Jewel and God put me in Jewel's life. I believe that. Inherent, I believe it. Okay. So I believe that we were joined together. But there's like, and there might be people might come up and say, "Man, you guys belong together." Doesn't mean that they know that we were joined together by God. Yeah. But I know that we were joined together by God. And I think that's what Shanice was saying, correct?
Yeah.
When you
right. That's the piece that is missing.
That you know.
Okay. And that's the piece that still doesn't answer your question.
No, I'm straight.
Yeah, we said.
Oh, her question's answered.
Yeah, we did.
So that means we didn't answer your question.
I'm straight.
She's good.
We did answer her question.
First of all, we went on like in a loop last time when we didn't answer her question.
And you just,
she would tell us.
She would tell us.
No, we did.
She would tell us. She would be very clear if we didn't answer her question.
No, that's not. Last time we answered her question, she just didn't like the answer. She didn't agree.
The more I read, the more I realize that I don't know a lot.
Right. I agree with you.
Bible.
You don't.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's true. Because like at this point, like I put on the thing, like at this point, I'm